Last week on the Al Nicoletti Show, Jay and Annie Atkins. I love it.
Yes.
Hello.
We took $75,000 that we put into the property and turned that into about $250,000 in equity. Make sure when you're checking out properties that you're analyzing what the market rents are in that area. Okay.
Interesting. Very interesting.
The biggest draw for deals for us is people that we know.
It's amazing what happens when you talk to other people and you network with them.
Our exit plan is there is no exit on this property. We came to an agreement that we would hold this property and we would increase the value of it by increasing the property value and increasing the rents. This is an important question worth thousands of dollars for you to ask when you're talking to sellers. What other properties do you have? Another important one, Al, is who else do you know that has a property that they need to get rid of?
That is a great golden nugget. You see how you can learn a different strategy each time from a different guest?
I'm giving it all, Al.
You're giving it all.
Your listeners want to know.
Design your life and then fit your business in to make that life happen.
You can do this. It's not easy, but it's doable, and you just put in the work and you get the reward.
Thank you both so much for coming on.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks, Al.
Absolutely loved having on Jay and Annie Atkins on last week on the Al Nicoletti Show. I always love seeing the recaps because we get the best of the best in the content game when it comes to the episodes. If you miss any of that episode with Jay and Annie, you got to check it out. Talking about things in creative financing. I felt like March was creative financing month. It's unbelievable. The people that we've had talk about this stuff, they were talking about seller terms, deals. Jay was breaking down numbers. Annie was talking about their experiences having the Airbnb in South Florida and some of the other lead sources that you can tap into that are not just pre-foreclosure or tax delinquency or pre-probate, probate. I mean, they were getting into the historical registry. They're in Ohio, but these are the things that are thinking outside the box on how you can tackle some of these innovative ways to get into real estate. And all the content and the guests that we have on the show are constantly dropping gems and golden nuggets on how everybody can help level up their business. And tonight's episode is no different, especially when it comes to the marketing game online. SEO, Facebook ads, Google PPC, you name it when it comes to advertising and marketing to help level up your business. Bryan Driscoll brings the heat, and he's going to provide a jam-packed episode with all this great information. So always 9 o'clock on the Al Nicoletti Show, Wednesday night. I'm always hyped. I see you all out there. Everybody's going to be watching, commenting. We love the fans and the followers. Comment, ask questions, drop a comment. We want you to engage. We want you to get the most value from this, and we'll make sure that Bryan responds to these questions. So I see you all out there. I got my notepad. I got my pen. I'm ready to go. I'm hyped. I got my energy. So let's rock this thing. Hey, everybody. My name is Al Nicoletti. I'm an attorney here in Florida, and welcome to the Al Nicoletti Show, where I bring on real estate super investors, rising rock stars, movers and shakers, and leaders of clubs in their community that educate, entertain, and inspire all things on Florida real estate and going beyond into other markets. You name it. Commercial, Airbnb, land, creative financing, seller terms, not just doing deals that are the conventional, traditional way. Doing things that are outside the box, thinking outside the box on how you can get into the real estate game or even figure out real estate adjacent things like tonight's episode with marketing. Whether it's getting into more advertising, more branding, we bring on the best of the best in the industries in real estate on how you can take your company to the next level. On my show tonight, I got the guy that's going to be talking about SEO, Google PPC, Facebook ads, the things that we all want to know about on how we get more leads, right? How many of you, I feel like I'm speaking at a conference right now. How many of you want more leads out there, right? I see everybody raising their hand. How many of you want to really generate more business from just doing some simple advertising strategies, tactics, things that you don't have to spend a ton of money on? You could maybe do some of it on your own. Maybe you hire a company, but you're putting yourself out there more. You want to learn more of this stuff. You want to stay tuned for the episode tonight because Bryan Driscoll is going to lay it down. He's going to give you a jam-packed episode. It's going to be fire. Before we bring Bryan on, something I've been doing lately, I don't know if you caught it on Jay and Annie Atkins episode. I've been doing like more of Al Nicoletti has something to say before we hop in the episode, right? Almost like opening points. I think we're going to call it opening points, Mike. Opening points, which is where something that's come up in my business, professional, personal, it's on my mind. I think a lot of people could take value from something like that. That's huge. So my opening point tonight is a lot of us are always in our business 24/7. We are constantly working, and we're with families, on the weekends and stuff like that. But it's really important too to even step outside that real estate world. Get outside your element, whether it's travel, being a part of a different community, being with different friends that are not just real estate, more like making your mind not all into work and letting your mind recharge, refuel. I think that is so important. Even in my world, you have to take a step away from being on the phone all the time, on social media all the time. I know people probably can't believe that because like I'm on social media, we're pumping out reels like crazy, but take a moment to step away from that for a moment, clear your mind. And that really helps a lot because when you go back to it, during that time you had off, you're thinking through ways you can improve that you couldn't think through when you were in those tasks. So get outside your element, think outside the box, go be a part of a community that isn't just in your work life, your real estate world. That to me is huge. It's impacted me in so many ways. I know I could probably do a whole presentation and speech on that alone and in just the health, the journey and all of that. But I hope that's valuable for people out there. So everybody is so excited. I know I am. We got to bring Bryan on because this is going to be exactly what you are looking for when it comes to SEO, Google PPC, Facebook ads. So let's bring him on the show without further ado. Bryan Driscoll. Bryan, what is up, man? It's been so long since I've seen you, brother.
What's up, Al? How's it going, man? It's been a while. You look great.
Thank you. It's that's been a journey on its own. It's crazy. It's I love seeing your progress and the successes you've had in your business. See how you guys are growing. I see all the Facebook ads, the podcasts that you keep putting out. So I mean, I can't wait to dive in on SEO and Google ads, Google PPC, Facebook ads. I got to ask you, Bryan, in your entire journey getting into real estate, what was the number one lesson that you learned, like the biggest aha moment you had jumping in?
Oh, man, that's a good one. Just to do it, just to do stuff. Quit thinking about it. Like start to actually take action. Because I used to sit there and think and plan out everything. It's like, just go do it. You're going to figure it out. Like go get the deal, things like that. You're going to figure out how to sell it, Huge.
That's huge advice, right? And it sounds like common sense, to a lot of people like, well, that makes a lot of sense. But I feel like the more I hear these topics, the more it has to be communicated to somebody for them to take action, right? When they hear it from somebody that has the success and has that drive, it really takes that kind of moment. So that's awesome. I want to ask you this too, because you've had your own journey, you've had your own personal, professional journey, and I think with a lot of the grind and a lot of the business, the tweaking and the trial and error and just getting through all of it really takes a mental toughness to what you're doing every day. And before we jump in on all the advanced techniques and strategies, I got to ask you, what are some of the mental stresses that come along with being a high performer every day in your business?
All right, I'll give it to you like this. I feel like I'm riding a lion and everybody's looking at me. They're like, how is this dude riding this lion? And all I'm thinking is, how am I riding a lion? Like, it's like one of those things that you just keep going and it's always, you got the limiting beliefs in your head when you're starting out in a business and everything. It's like, oh crap, you just got to keep doing stuff and keep pushing forward. And I've learned that I do best being uncomfortable. Yes,
Oh
it's just
man, I love that. Yeah. Oh, that's a whole topic of its own, right? And I believe that too about being uncomfortable is where your growth happens the most,
mhm.
right? I mean, people think that it's always being in the same situation, the same with the same group. Get outside your zone. Get outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, I thrive on being uncomfortable. It's weird. Like I enjoy that, you know.
I love it. No, that's great. I think that's huge stuff for people out there. So, Bryan, I'm really intrigued by your craft, by your trade, by what you do in your services for investors, new, seasoned, you name it, the investors all over the country. I think it's fascinating. And SEO is something, search engine optimization is something that has really piqued my interest in the law firm in the last couple of weeks. It's come up, because I got videos pumping out on Instagram, Facebook. We got the show out there. But when it comes to the website and trying to get elevated to the first page of Google, I keep hearing it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of different ways to maneuver and getting the clicks into the website and moving up the chart. So let's talk about that. Like, what are these tips and tricks you have for people that really want to optimize their website?
All right, so let's talk about SEO. SEO is ranking in the free section of Google, right? So you have to think, what's the purpose of Google? Google's purpose is to answer people's questions. People search in probate lawyer in Florida. Their job is to find the most relevant one and put them at the top of the search engine, right? So if you look at it that way, it kind of helps you because everyone's like, oh, I want to get to the top. It's like, no, we need to create something that is really relevant for the people searching for us and then create that. So for example, say we're talking about what you do, right? I look at a website like a Christmas tree. So it's like you got the home page and then the category pages, then it goes into like the blogs and internal pages. So for an easy scenario, let's say we're selling shoes. If we wanted to make a website and optimize it to be relevant for shoes, the homepage would be about shoes, like a general phrase, shoes. First click in might be men's shoes. Second click might be men's black shoes. And what we're trying to do there is we're trying to make our entire website relevant so that the search engine knows what we offer, but make things like yours might be Florida lawyer. And then one click in might be probate lawyer or whatever. We want to make every single page relevant for specific phrases so that the search engine, which is a bot, when they crawl the code, they can actually tell what the page is and then try to rank it. So that's kind of what it is in the short version.
Interesting. I've actually never heard that kind of analogy before with the way it's structured, like a Christmas tree. So yeah. What are we really looking at when it comes to like linking things? Because one idea, like you were talking about, if somebody's looking up Florida probate lawyer and I got the website or I got the YouTube content or video or maybe a little blog, linking the blog to the website or linking it to another function in the website. What are some of those techniques that you suggest to people out there that they could do today, like on a very beginning basic level to start blowing up their website optimization?
Yeah. So the first thing that I do that I see a lot of people make this mistake. It's called duplicate content. So a lot of people have words on their website that aren't original, especially in the real estate investor space. Like different website platforms come pre-populated with content. So the first thing I would do is go through and make sure all the words on your page are unique, like written to you, by yourself, right? Reason is, say we have two different websites with the same words in the same order. How's the search engine know which one's more relevant? Right?
Gotcha. Interesting.
So that's the first thing, especially in the investor space. But what I would do is I use tools like SEMrush and Ahrefs, ahrefs.com. And what we're doing is we're doing keyword research. So these tools allow you to type in, say, Florida probate lawyer. And it might tell us there's 5,000 people that search that a month, or there's 50, or it'll tell us how many people search for phrases. So sometimes it'll tell us like probate lawyer in Florida gets the traffic, or Florida probate lawyer. It will tell you which keyword people are searching for. And then what you do is you narrow that down, and then I usually will pick one keyword per page and then a couple variations or secondary keywords. And then we want to make sure, not to get too far in the weeds, but we want to make sure that keyword is in your title tag meta description, your body content a couple times. So title tags, the blue bar, it's not even visible on your website, but it's a blue bar that shows in the search engine. Meta description is underneath that.
So I can see people watching this right now going like, well, how do we do that? Like, how do I get into that? Like, is that what you guys do? That's the service of like getting in there and like embedding the keywords and the phrases and like tweaking it as you go. Is that the idea?
Yeah, well, anyone can do it too. So let me think how to explain it easily. So say you have a WordPress website, which most people do. When you get into your WordPress website, you're probably going to have an SEO plugin in there. It might be Yoast SEO, or it'll be a plugin. What that does is it puts on every page, it'll put a title tag, meta description section, so you can populate those manually. So when you go on your pages, you'll see them. And then whenever you write content, like what I like to do is I'll write the content in a Word doc. I'll put a title tag, I'll write it out. Well, first I'll pick the keywords, then I write the title, meta description, and then the content. And then it's real easy. If you pick the keyword, do Control F on a PC and see how many, see if it's in each section. And if it isn't, put it in there. Make sense?
No, that makes sense. I mean, I'd have to see what that looks like. I'm sure people have tried that, or like you said, when building websites, it's usually through WordPress. So it probably has those features that you can add it in there. And I'm just thinking like, what are some more techniques or suggestions, ideas to keep doing to keep leveling up the SEO? Is it doing more blogs and videos and cross-linking? Is it just, and how often do you have to do it to make it work, right? Because some people think, oh, we'll just do one blog and that'll bump it up. And in my world, I'm thinking there's no way, because in order to really make a difference, you have to be consistent with the content you're putting out. So
Right.
What are some of those tips and tricks?
So it all depends on your goals, right? Like everyone's going to have different goals. I would always just keep in the back of your head, every action you do it for user experience, right? So I'm more of a fan on writing one really good blog a month than writing 4 crappy blogs every week. You know what I mean? So I would focus on that. But if you have the bandwidth to create 4 awesome blogs in a month, do that. So here's what you have for SEO. You have on-page optimization. It's everything on your website, your content, internal linking, all that stuff. Then you have off-page SEO, which is building links to your website. So what that is, if you get a link on somebody else's website that links to your website, search engine looks like that as a vote. So if you have a page on your website that says Florida probate lawyer, and then you have my website linking to your website in the anchor text, like that blue text saying Florida probate lawyer, goes to that same page, that helps build the relevance. Google's like, okay, you're saying it's about this and other people are linking to it saying the same thing. Maybe that page is really about that, and it gives you a little bit better authority.
Oh, so like it starts getting smart to your credibility. It starts realizing, wait a second, this is an authentic page and there's traffic driving in here. So we're going to bump it up.
Right. And you have to be careful when you get into link building, because technically building links is against Google's terms of service. So SEO is against Google's terms of service pretty much. We're trying to manipulate the search engine. But a lot of people, you have to make sure, even getting links, there are spammy links you can get to your website. And then you want to focus, like even on the link building side, focus on content that's beneficial to the user that links to your website, so you don't get penalized, things like that.
Interesting. I didn't even know about that feature. Everybody's throwing around SEO like crazy. Like, let's just keep tweaking, but you got to be careful with the rules as well.
Yeah, and it all depends on goals. Like SEO is a long play. You're going to get results in like 6 to 12 months versus Facebook ads and Google ads. You're going to get results in 2 weeks.
Well, let's talk about that, because I mean, everybody wants leads in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and fast, higher conversion. Because the long play definitely has a role. Like with YouTube is like that with long form content period. It's the long-term game over time. But when it comes to these Facebook ads and Google PPC, that's a whole different world. When you and I connected in Tampa at Family Mastermind, I remember that was one of the first things you and I were like talking over, which was Facebook ads. And you were like, well, wait a second, like get your laptop. Let's look at this right now. And we open it up and you're like showing me everything about Facebook ads. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Bryan knows a lot. What are some common things that people, mistakes that people run into when they're doing Facebook ads? Because I know you had some stuff for me.
Yeah, we got a lot. Before I even said, are you doing YouTube Shorts for your content yet?
Yes, now we are, for sure.
Okay, because they get tons of reach right now. They get a lot of reach. So anybody that's doing YouTube, cut it also and put it on the shorts. So Facebook, some of the mistakes I see people making are not putting a Facebook pixel on their website. So Facebook is based on behavior, right? Facebook algorithm shows ads to people based on the behavior and the search behavior people have. So it's not going to show me dresses and things like that. Most of my feed's filled with business things, real estate, stuff like that. So on the Facebook ads, the reason that they can find out what you want to do or what your behavior is, it's called a Facebook pixel. So that's a snippet of code you put on your entire website, right? But when you're running ads, if you don't have that pixel on your website, their algorithm can't see what people are doing on your website, and it's harder to optimize. So that's a huge mistake I see people make there.
Gotcha. Yeah, the whole pixel thing. I don't know. I don't remember if I think I had it when we were sitting down looking at it, but I can't remember right now. I just remember you were talking about all these like things that weren't there to help better optimize the Facebook ad, right? So what are some tips and tricks to really getting the results people want out of the Facebook ad? Is it making multiple flyers? Is it putting more ad spend into the Facebook ad? Is it terms and keywords, kind of like with SEO? Or is it making like video? Is it doing video ads?
Yeah, so here's what it is. It's like a funnel, right? So we have top of funnel. That's people that have never seen or heard about you before. So say we're trying to buy a house. We're looking for motivated seller leads. At the top of funnel, when I'm pushing ads out to people that have never heard about us before, I'm usually going to use an image that says sell your house fast or we buy houses cash, something extremely direct, because I want to engage those people and get them to at least click it and come to our website. Ideally, we want them to fill out a form. Only 10% of people on average are going to do that. So 90% of the people come to your website, you know they want to sell, but they left. They're not ready yet. That's when you pull in the videos and other things and testimonials. So you're going to have videos. Hey, my name's Bryan. I'm from Pittsburgh. I buy houses, things like that. And also testimonial videos. And what you're going to do is retarget them. So Facebook allows you to retarget anyone who's been on your website or even engage with your page and show only those people ads. That's where you build that credibility and try to bring them back.
Yeah, that's what you were kind of talking to me about, which was it's almost like that linking, right? Because if they look up if they find your Facebook ad, then they find your website, or if you go to your website, then eventually if they're on Facebook, like you'll pop up on social media, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, it's like this. You go on Amazon and you're looking at a pair of shoes, and then that's filling your feed. Yeah. You want the same thing happening. They just showed a behavior. They're ready to sell their house. You want to live in their feed for like the next 30 days for when they're ready.
So what do you like best though? Is it more the graphic for the Facebook ad? Is it more video? Does it not really matter? Does color get into it? Like, what are some things there that they could focus on?
On the top of funnel, I usually like to do static images, and I like brighter colors. So it all depends, because you want to keep them matching your brand too. You don't want to take someone from an ad to a website that doesn't match. So if you say sell your house fast for cash on your ad, send them to a website that says the same thing in the same colors. You want to keep that same message the whole way through, whatever they engaged with. Videos, I like a lot on the retargeting side, but it all comes down to testing. Like even we test videos on the front end. I like A/B testing a lot. It's like put up 3 videos, test them, see which one gets engagements, which one doesn't,
Testing is everything, right? Trial and error. I've been talking about that more than ever. It's like you don't know what results you're going to get until you actually put it into practice and you start seeing, are you getting more messages? Are you getting more likes? Are you getting more views? Are you getting more phone calls? Which is really my next question about tracking data in the world of investors, tracking your KPIs, like, where is the source coming from? Like, is it coming from the ad? Did they message you? Talk to us about the best ways to track that. I'm sure, of course, like Facebook will tell you about, how many messages, but like, where do you see the best results coming from? Is it somebody that's actually messaging, calling, just seeing the ad? Like, what's the best?
All right. So here's what we have. And now let's define data, like what we're tracking. So there's 2 different types of things. We're looking at KPIs. I want to know like how many leads we got, how many of those turned into appointments, how many of those appointments we sent a contract, how many deals that we get, right? So that's on the back end. And then we have conversion or tracking on where the sources are. So there's different types of tracking that you can have. You can have first click tracking, or first click attribution and last click attribution. So what this means is, say you click on one of my Google ads, you come to my website and you leave, and then I retarget you through Facebook. 3 weeks later, you come back through a Facebook ad and you fill out my form. Facebook's going to show it just got a lead, and that's last click. That was the last click that you took before filling out a form. So that's somewhat beneficial, but the really where the money's made is in the first click. If you can figure out Google introduced me to you, brought you to my website, and then you left, and then you came back through Facebook. If I put more money to Google, it's going to increase to Facebook. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Yeah. So it's called attribution. I use it's kind of creepy software. Like we use a software called Hyros. That's one that it tracks people. Normally, websites track, and normal software tracks when an action happens. This happens when you get on a website. So it's like a step deeper.
Interesting. Yeah, you get pretty deep with this stuff too, and like where they're coming from, and like, did they visit the site first and then did they see the ad later? And the retargeting seems to be very fascinating.
Which you have to too, because think about it. I'm just using a simple example, but think about a person's selling process. It might be 9 months long. So they may have clicked a Google ad, seen your retargeting, you're sending them text messages, emails, mailers, TV. You want to be able to see, okay, which part of this flow, how are they engaging with it, and which one's actually bringing them to take an action, and kind of map it out. And then you want to build your funnel to get rid of the leaky buckets,
Yeah, and another thing that I'm thinking, because I do the Facebook ads that are out there for probate, right? And so what people see that they'll do an ad, and it's kind of like throwing up a reel on Instagram, right? When you keep throwing up reels, one reel may take off, a lot of people love it. Another reel, nobody does a thing, nobody hits like, love, comment, nothing. But in my mind, it's actually a really interesting tool, the Facebook ad, because it's almost like another way to brand and market. Even if you're not getting the like a direct message, or you're not getting something later, kind of like Bryan's talking about, like maybe later it'll happen when they find your website or find a different lead source or link source. But I see it, Bryan, almost like another way to market that just keeps people top of mind. They're like, oh wait, that's the person that does probate. That's the guy that does probate. Like I just see it as like another thing that you keep pumping out there.
Yeah. So there's a couple different ways we can use Facebook, right? And yeah, you're right. So say we're trying to test content. Say you just toss them on Instagram. You want to see what happens. A lot of people will take a lot of content and stick it on Facebook. Like what I'll do is I'll stick it on as a Facebook ad for $1 per day. I'll stick a lot of videos on there. And what I'm looking for is that I want to see that one, and I'm putting it on for engagement. I want to see that one that gets a lot of engagement. And then I'll take that and make that into a conversion ad. So people can test it like that. You know what I mean? With Facebook, you want to be careful when you're running ads. Facebook's going to give you what you ask for. So if you ask for people to watch your videos, you're going to get that, and that's it. If you ask for people to come to your website, you'll get that. If you ask for engagement, you'll get that. And then if you ask for leads or purchases, you're going to get that. So in the real estate investor space, we always want to target leads, which we're going to get smaller reach, but we're going to get actual people that want to sell our house. And then we may retarget again with the lead conversion, but then we also may have some for that brand awareness as well, just for reach to get our message in front of as many people as possible.
Great point. I mean, great tips out there, right? And I'm even thinking too that not even just Facebook, the ads also go on Instagram if you allow it there too, which targets a whole different demographic, more the younger crowd, more people that are more active maybe on social media. Sometimes if you just have Facebook, you go on once in a while. The people are on Facebook and Instagram are always out there. So it's kind of like another way to repopulate and be in front of people's faces all the time. And with Instagram, I mean, again, you can do that probably cross-reference stuff and cross-linking, which is really interesting.
Yeah. And basically think about it like this. It's real simple. So anytime you have two different ways of targeting, you target cold traffic, which is where you show ads to strangers, and then you just show different ads to people that have engaged with your stuff. So say someone comes to your website, it's like, hey, you know what? I know you checked out my website. Here's some more information to build my credibility.
Right. It keeps adding to the credibility part.
Yep.
That's going to be huge. Let me ask you. So we haven't even touched the Google ads or Google PPC yet. But before I even ask you about the ads and the PPC, which of these methods, Facebook ads, SEO, any other kind of marketing method, have you seen work the best for the seasoned investors? And I say seasoned investors because those are the ones that are, one, still in the game, doing a lot of deals. So obviously they're using some kind of marketing strategy correctly.
Right. The seasoned investors, I see them doing everything. It's like an omnipresence. So most of the guys I know crushing it, which I'll answer your question first. Out of Facebook, Google pay-per-click, and SEO, I would probably start with Facebook. If you're sending traffic to a website through a multi-step form, not a lead form, which is going to get you a low-quality lead. But the big investors I see, they're doing Facebook, pay-per-click, mailers, SEO, SMS text, cold calling. They're doing everything, and they kind of have like an omnipresence there. SEO, oh, go ahead.
No, that's really interesting. To start at Facebook would be the first step over doing like the Google PPC.
Yeah, and here's why. Facebook's going to get in most metro areas a cheaper cost per lead. Google pay-per-click's a lot more expensive. So if you're going to start with one, you're going to get more bang for your buck out of Facebook. SEO is going to take like a year, so
right.
That's usually like the third thing. SEO is like owning the house. Google and Facebook are like renting the house. Because when you pay ad spend, you get traffic, and then when you pull the ad spend away, it disappears immediately. SEO doesn't.
I like that analogy, and you know that's going to make last week on the Al Nicoletti show right there. It's a great analogy between the two of them.
Nice.
Bryan, so Google PPC, Google Ads, I don't know if there's a difference to them at all. This topic really intrigues me the most, especially for the kind of marketing that I'm doing with video content, Instagram, Facebook, pumping out the reels, pumping out the shorts, the long form, or, the different content, even the shows. I mean, technically long form content, right? And then you get Google PPC, where it's like the ad. It's that first thing that when people type in investor leads, or motivated investor leads, the first thing that comes up is, Bryan Driscoll, the motivated leads, and it's got ad. And people are like, oh, you're at the top of the page. It's like, well, not SEO wise, like you're paying for that ad to be at the top, but like, how do you get to be at the top there? Like, what are the tricks and things to getting into the Google PPC that's going to generate more leads? I just think this is really interesting, especially in my field where I see a lot of lawyers that don't do any marketing at all. They're not out there. They're not at meetings. They're not on videos. They're not doing anything, but they're still getting business in the law firm, but they're doing Google PPC. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, Google, especially, I'd say lawyers are one of the most competitive space on Google. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not.
Google's extremely expensive in the real estate, in the like motivated seller space, lawyers, mortgages, really competitive, in insurance. So here's what we're looking at. Facebook, we're bidding on an impression share. So what we're doing is we're telling Facebook, I'm going to give you $20, show my ad to 1,000 people. So we're in competition with bakeries, shoe stores, like just the people in that area. On Google, we're in direct competition with, in my case, other investors. In your case, you're in direct competition with other attorneys because you're bidding on keywords like probate lawyer or whatever it is. All probate lawyers are bidding on that same keyword, and you're paying per click there versus per impression. So you might spend $20 or $30 for one click, and it's a bidding game. So depending on what your margins are, depends on how much people can spend. Like if you're flipping a house and you're making 50 grand, you can afford to spend $5,000 for a deal, so, and it might cost you $50 a click. So depending on what your budget is, you got to look, it's like, if you got a $500 budget a month, Google pay-per-click's not your thing. But Google pay-per-click is really relevant because people are searching, sell my house fast. And then you pop up at the top. It's intent-based versus Facebook. We're interrupting them. Make sense?
Yeah. And so kind of just like SEO with keywords and optimization, I'm sure that there's got to be that same kind of feel with Google ads and making sure you're plugging the right words in, especially if there's a lot of competition in that space, which if you're in a niche, if you're in a specialized niche, I could also see that benefiting that person, because if there's not a lot of competition there, ad spend's not going to be as high, and you don't have to put a lot of time and energy into having the team try to figure out the right keywords and terms. But talk to us about keywords, terms, tips and tricks on how to like really improve that ranking so you get more clicks.
Yeah, sure. So Google works on it's number one a bidding strategy. So whoever pays the most, you would think whoever pays the most gets the top spot though, but it's not. They have a quality score, so they rate your keywords in your ads and your landing page. It's called a quality score on a 1 to 10. So if my say we're both running a campaign in the same area for the same keywords, if my quality score is a 5 out of 10 and yours is a 10 out of 10, you might be bidding $10 a click and I'm bidding $20 a click. You may outrank me because Google's deeming relevance and the user experience above the cost per click. So cost per click is important, but the user experience. So like in a nutshell, if you're targeting sell my house fast, you're targeting that keyword. You want that keyword in the headline of your ad. You want it in the description of your ad. And then the landing page you're sending to, you also want it talking about the same thing so that Google sees the same way through the whole process. It's a relevant experience. And that should increase your quality score.
So is it really just throwing more money at it? So like, if you put more ad spend into Facebook ads or you put more ad spend into Google, is that going to also help drive that traffic and get more clicks? Is it just the amount of money that you also put into it?
It will. So first thing you want to do, anyone starting with it that hasn't done it before, start a little bit smaller, get an acceptable lead cost, optimize your campaigns to get down where they need to be, and then try to scale. Don't go in spending 20, 30 grand a month, just thinking you're going to get rich. Like get your lead cost down to like $150 or wherever you need it to be, and then start gradually scaling, and only scale in usually 20% increments. If you take a Facebook campaign from $100 a day to $300 a day, you're going to break the campaign. You got to just gradually bump it up.
Gotcha. Landing pages is another thing that I heard about when getting into Google PPC, which is creating multiple landing pages to see like what also sticks for people when they click your ad, right? So wait, before I get there, like when you're doing your ad, when you're doing your Google PPC, the thing that pops up when you look up motivated investor leads or Florida probate attorney, that box, how are you customizing that box? Are you like using the keywords and terms in there? Are you using specific phrases because you really want to grab somebody's attention from the beginning? So like what's designing that box like?
You know what? That's really easy. You just do that inside of Google Ads. So it has like an ad section where you just write out what you want in there. And you can even do dynamic, which you'll give like 5 different headlines and it'll automatically switch them for you and put whatever's likely to convert the most. So yeah, that's right inside of Google Ads. It's super simple.
And then about the landing pages, I've heard about like creating these multiple landing pages and trying to track where the source is coming from or like what's attractive to people, making one that looks professional, making one that looks like absolutely crazy and like, who would ever click this? Like people are unique in their ways of seeing things differently. So what are your thoughts on creating multiple landing pages?
Yeah, I like it. That's where we're also constantly A/B testing. So we may create a landing page. It might be something, 2 different ones, as simple as the color of the button or just the main message at the top. And we send equal traffic to both of them. And then we track the data, which one's getting better leads. And then we also want to look at too, which one's getting better quality leads. So some people look at the lead cost, but if you can close 1 out of 10 leads versus 1 out of 50, the 1 out of 10 lead cost, you can afford to spend more. So it's like you want to look at quality versus also which one gets the best leads through it or the most.
How important is Google reviews for your PPC leads or your SEO?
For pay-per-click, not so much. Google reviews are important because they're not important initially right at the first stage, but when somebody's getting ready to do business with you, they're probably Googling you and doing some research. And if you have crappy reviews, things like that, it could really hurt you. So it's not a direct influence on your Google pay-per-click campaigns, but it could be a direct influence on actually getting the contract.
It's interesting because I've gotten some leads or some people that have called. I can't remember when it was, maybe a couple months ago. And I said, I'm trying to get better at tracking like where the data is coming from, right? Like that's a hard thing in our business. Like when we hear the call come in, the lead, we're jumping straight into like, what's going on, what's happening, how much, how long. And sometimes I'm like, where did it come from? And one lady was like, oh, I found you on Google. And I'm thinking, like, from where? And she goes, I don't know, you just popped up. And I'm thinking, is it from the reviews? Like, are the reviews helping bump things up? Is it the Google ad? Is it like, I don't even think we had the Google sponsored ads running then. So like, I think that part is intriguing for me because that means that whatever that is or whatever is working seems to be driving the leads in.
Yeah, and you know what? That could be the Google business listing, the section like beside the map where your reviews are. What I'd recommend, stick a different phone number on there so that whenever that number rings, you can track it. So you can stick, like I use Vumber. It's at VUMBER.com, and it's just a vanity number. So you can stick a vanity phone number on there that forwards to your normal number, but you can always track back where that person came from. So if you have that phone number on Google My Business, a different one on your Facebook, different phone numbers, you can track that way if you're getting a lot of phone leads.
Amazing. I think one of the biggest takeaways I've even gotten from tonight is when Bryan like drops a tool, a software that works for him in his business. And I mean, if you haven't caught that or you heard it like in passing, go back and rewatch that part again, because he's dropping like these little programs that can have a huge impact on your business that'll help scale it, right? I mean, with these kinds of things, I mean, that helps scale your business. It's huge. Bryan, this is I feel like I say this on every episode. This could easily be a 3-hour, 4-hour masterclass session on everything. I mean, probably Facebook ads alone is like a 5-part series on, from beginners to intermediate to seasoned. In all this marketing, what's the biggest point, like, and the biggest takeaway for you that you've seen throughout this journey of learning this stuff?
My biggest takeaway is focus. Like, focus on the money. So whenever say you're a real estate investor, when you get into this space, focus on what's making you money versus playing around with tools and things like that. So if you really like tech, get in and dive in, but don't lose focus. You still have to get in front of sellers. You still have to go make the deals and get the contracts. Like, everything you're doing, focus on the outcome that's going to make you cash and focus on what you're best in. Like, that's one thing I notice. I'm always looking at, because I get distracted, same as everybody. It's like, oh yeah, tons of shiny objects. It's like, I just got to, where's my time best being spent right now?
Right. Focus in that area. And that's where you're going to help yourself scale and your business scale from there. So that's huge. Yeah. Bryan, great info. Great in a jam-packed episode, which is what we love. It's like there's so many little tips and tricks that people can follow when you get into this game. And I hope a lot of people got a lot of info out there. And I just want to say, thank you for coming on. Where can people find your content? Where are you? The services your team provides, and your show as well, the Motivated Leads podcast.
Yeah, you know what? Just go to motivatedleads.com. We got the podcast on there. Got some information. If you want to reach out, give us a call. I
love it. You're the man for connecting me with Trevor too at Carrot. Like that was huge. I love.
You got on there, right?
I did. I was epic. I mean, the whole team there, Brady and Trevor, I mean, are amazing. And I just want to say thank you for that one, because that was huge.
Oh, sure thing, man.
Yeah, it was great. Bryan, as I do on all of my guests for all the shows that I have, I always do a segment at the end called Final Words, Final Thoughts, which is anything that you want to talk about when it comes to content, marketing, SEO, mindset, health, you name it, any journey you've been on, anything that can help impact the final conclusion to you being on the show. So as I say, final words, final thoughts, Bryan Driscoll.
Oh, that's a good one. Don't drink. That's my final thought.
Boom. Wow. I would love to dive deeper on what that means, but hey, let's take it. Don't drink.
Yeah, don't drink, man. Clear heads is what makes the world, makes everything tick.
I love it. We're going to leave it at that. I was short and sweet. I love the final words, final thoughts. Sometimes we get ones that are like, 5 minutes, and then we get ones that are like 2 seconds. So I love it. Bryan, you're the man. I can't wait to connect with you and see you soon. I don't know when there will be. It'll be at a conference, a meeting, it'll be somewhere. But thanks again for jumping on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. We'll talk soon.
All right, man. I'll see you then. Another amazing episode talking about marketing strategies on SEO, Facebook ads, Google PPC, what cross-linking is, how to really optimize your websites, how to optimize your strategies, not even just for the beginners out there. I know there's people that are listening, that are downloading Spotify, downloading the episode on iTunes, that come across these things that are been in the game for 5, 10, 15 years and haven't even heard about that. Maybe you have, and now that's kind of going to pique your interest to checking something out that is another level, right? This is great content to have because I don't think we've had anybody on talking about SEO or, and if we have, it was more like the Google PPC world and in campaigns, but SEO and Facebook ads, that stuff, a lot of people want to know about. A lot of people want to know how to generate that lead. So if you missed any of this episode tonight, go back, watch it. And I talked about it like right before Bryan hopped off. One of the biggest things that Bryan was doing, he was giving you the software tools that he uses in his business. I mean, that's huge. He was like rattling them off. He's like, go check this out. Go check this out. Go check. You want to hear this stuff and see if it can help optimize your business. Maybe there's a strategy or software out there that's going to change how you run things, change your systems. Maybe now that's going to automate something that you've wished you could have found for the last 2, 3, 4 years, maybe longer. Check that out. If you missed any of this episode, rewind, go back, condense it. Maybe one day you want to hear SEO. One day you want to hear Facebook ads or Google PPC. I hope you all got so much information. I know a lot of you out there are listening on Spotify, iTunes, and watching the show live. I love you all watching the show live on Facebook, YouTube, the comments, the questions. We love it all. And I'll be on next week. You know, we don't stop. The train keeps on going. Nobody's stopping this. I'll see you all next week, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. You don't want to miss it. Another episode on the Al Nicoletti Show. I will see you then. Have a great night. Take care.